to the Sacred Sexuality Project. My name is Mark Weppett and I'm here to help you live a higher expression of your sexuality. And today, what we're going to be doing is continuing our conversation around sexual transmutation. And I'm sorry that it took me a while to get this video out to you guys. The reason it took me a while is not because I was lazy, it was honestly because I really wanted to get this video right. And I was trying to figure out the best way to share these concepts with you because they're probably some of the most important ones I've touched on. What we're going to be looking at is how to start practically practicing sexual transmutation. We've talked a bit about it in theory. You know, we said it's a way of tapping into this super powerful form of motivation, right? But I didn't really get clear on what do you actually do, okay? And that's what I'm going to start explaining in this video. So let's get to it. The first thing we got to look at here is that sex is about connection, okay? That's, at least when we're talking about sexual transmutation, sex is about connection. It's about creating one where there was once two. You know, it's about overcoming duality and stepping into a unity. Typically, this is usually just understood in a much more kind of static sense, all right? So in hardware, all right, you've got, you know, two different kinds of plugs. You've got the male end of a plug, and then you've got the female end of a plug. The male end, you know, is the side with the prongs, and the female end is the side that receives the prongs, and, you know, they essentially connect and create one, all right? That's a sort of gross understanding of sexuality, and society, popular society as a whole, doesn't seem to go much deeper either. You know, they look at it as, hey, the sex is a physical thing where the man gives his penis and sperm and inserts it, you know, into the woman, and she, you know, receives that, right? There is this physical uniting, but I think if you only look at it like this, there's a limit to what you can really appreciate and understand about sexuality. So here's the thing, you know, sex isn't just the ability to connect things physically, okay? I would argue that this connection can go much deeper. You know, there can be a connection on emotional levels and on mental levels. And anyone who's had intimate, loving sex knows this. They know that there's a connection beyond just the physical, because there's a stark contrast between the way sex feels when it's, you know, just about a physical connection versus the way it feels when there's a physical, an emotional, and a mental connection. And it's important to note that those deeper kind of elements of connection, they have a different quality to them. Instead of just the cut and dry, you know, male and female of the plug, you know, the masculine plug with the prongs and the feminine plug that receives it, there's a more fluid dynamic there. And the best way to describe it is probably like if you attach, you know, two wires to two different ends of a battery, okay? You got these two wires with the positive charge and a negative charge. And as you bring them closer together, there's a point where they connect and there's an arc formed between them, between the positive and negative pole. There's that spark, there's that flow of energy, that unity. That's really sexuality kind of when it starts getting more energetically charged, opposed to just, you know, plug goes into the hole. In sexual transmutation, what we're doing is we're capturing that mental and emotional aspect of sexual connection, but we're changing the physical expression of it. So there's really this unity created on the mental and the emotional level, and there's still unity in a sense being created on a physical level, but instead of through acts of intercourse, it's going to be other kinds of actions. The ultimate goal of this practice is to reach a point where you can literally live your entire life as an act of lovemaking, where you're making love to everything. In order to do that, we have to understand what sexual energy actually is, okay? I would say that sexual energy and love energy are really the same thing, okay? And they can be expressed in one of two ways, all right? There is the masculine expression of sexual energy, which is characterized by giving. And then on the flip side, you have the feminine expression of sexual energy, which is characterized by receiving. On a course level, this is, you know, more distinct and clear, like in the case of the plug, you know, the male plug's giving itself into the female plug, which is receiving it. Or, you know, in the physical act of intercourse, the male is giving his penis into the woman and she is receiving it, right? But there's a bit of a yin-yang sort of character to all of this. The male giving role isn't totally active. There's some reception in there, in the sense that, like, you know, the female is giving her attractiveness in a sense. You know, the female isn't totally passive. She is stimulating the male through her, you know, beauty and things like that. So there's that giving there, and the male's receiving it, turning it into arousal, which then he gives back to her. And it's really this flow. And as the sort of energy or the vibration of whatever, the exchange increases, it really moves from that plug mentality of like that to that total arc and harmony of energy that we're talking about with you know, the two wires and the electricity flowing between them. So now we got to start looking at this in a more practical way. What does this mean for my life? All right? And really what it is tapping into the motivations and the mentalities associated with both sides of or these two poles, okay? And learning how to flow between them within yourself and in your interactions with everyone else and the universe at large. So masculine motivation is essentially the motivation of giving a good gift, okay? And think about it, you know, think about a time that you made a gift for someone, or you were doing something really thoughtful for someone. There's a joy there, there's a motivation, there's a desire. You can't wait to give that to them, you know? And this is starkly contrasted to that feeling of craving, of desiring to get something. And that's what we're starting to look at here, is how can we shift out of that mentality, that form of motivation, and into that giving sort of motivation. On the feminine side of things, feminine energy is expressed as thankfulness and gratitude, okay? And it's that idea, that feeling of being so grateful and thankful for what you're experiencing, embracing it, almost drawing it into you, that you know, you're able to feel it and like it so much, okay? And this is in stark contrast to that mentality of pushing things away, of being closed, rejecting your experiences, people, feelings, etc. Instead, we've got this nurturing, welcoming sort of building sort of mentality. What we start to see as we look at ourselves and our interactions in this way is that the biggest obstacle that we face in our lives is this mentality of conditionality. Okay, this idea that I'm only going to give if I get X, Y, or Z in return, or I'm only going to give if you meet these certain requirements, or I'm only going to give it to myself if I meet these certain requirements. And you know, that giving energy starts getting shut down. And then on the flip side, we've got that block on the feminine side where you know, there's a conditional reception, where if you're not meeting certain requirements or criteria, then you're closing your doors, you're shutting down, you're rejecting, you're pushing away. As you commit to practicing sexual transmutation, what happens is you essentially become a better and better lover. What you're doing is you're removing those conditions. You're learning how to give more freely and accept more fully, okay? And this creates this cycle, this dynamic of passion that not only creates tremendous life inside of you and in the lives of those around you, it also feels freaking good because you feel connected to yourself, to the people around you, to everything. It's really amazing. It's like stepping out of this mentality of where you need to kind of force yourself to do what's good. You know, you need to use fear or, you know, guilt or something to try and make yourself do good things. And instead, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be giving freely of yourself, because you're going to be seeing that thing that you're giving to as like a beautiful woman which you're uniting with. You know, you're investing yourself, you're penetrating that beautiful thing with this gift that you're giving, whether it's to yourself, to another person, to you know, the world at large. Like, it's really looking at that, being driven by beauty, being motivated to give by beauty. On the feminine side, it's stepping out of that mentality of rejection and conflict with the circumstances, people, and feelings, whatever, in your life. You know, you're no longer at war with them, trying to keep them out. Instead, you're welcoming them in as the seeds of opportunity and growth, you know, in the same way that a woman would welcome in, you know, the man that she loves and his seed and nurture that and turn it into, new life, right? And it's looking at all the opportunities in life, all the things that it throws at you, even, painful, scary, sad, whatever. It's learning how to bring them into your heart and nurture them and help those things grow into spiritual development. More than anything, though, I think the most profound aspect of this work is really tearing down the walls that you have set up between you and everyone else. Those walls that make you feel alone, disconnected, out of place, without purpose. And realizing that you are connected, that you can unite fully within yourself, within the people around you, within this world at large. You can plug yourself right into it, give and receive totally. It's about feeling connected. It's about feeling at home and real and here and just plugged in. It's really quite amazing, but it takes some work. It takes some shifting around in your thoughts and your actions and your beliefs. And we're going to be getting more into that in much greater detail in future videos. But I really just wanted to introduce the concepts of giving and receiving here, because this is the platform upon which everything else we're going to do is built. So until next time, stay clean, everybody.